Hey everyone, Allison here from Not Just Yarn. And when I was doing my Flower Granny Squares a day, I promised you guys a video on making a magic ring, and then I kind of forgot to make it. So this is me making that video. So what is a magic ring? A magic ring is a way of starting crochet so that you can crochet in the round and tighten it so that it gives this nice, tight, closed look so you don't get holes and whatnot. When I was doing the Flower Granny Squares, the cards themselves show starting with a chain of 4, and then you put all your initial stitches inside that ring that you create with your chain of 4. But there's no way of making that really tight. So if you are loose and your chain of 4 is loose and the number of stitches that go inside it don't sort of seal it, then you're left with this sort of unsightly hole. This magic ring is an alternative way of starting off a circular pattern. There are a couple of different ways to do a magic ring, but I'm going to show you the one that I use and I like. So yeah. So projects that use a magic ring, anything that's done in the round. So this is just one of the ornaments that I'm working on for my crochet advent calendar. Spoiler alert. And then other things like this is a star trivet pattern by Tangled by Karina that is being released soon. I can't remember the exact date. I think it might be Friday. Today is Wednesday, so watch for that. I will leave a link in the video description to her Etsy shop and her Instagram. But things like this where you're starting in the round and then you're adding stitches all the way around. So granny squares obviously quite often start in the round. Trivets. Amigurumi is another really popular thing. So that's the making of the little stuffed animals. I don't make a lot of those. So I don't really have an example to show you, but that's the type of thing too. Okay, so let's take a look at what is involved. Now, really, you just need any yarn. It doesn't have to be a specific weight to do this. So whatever your pattern is calling for, that's the yarn you want. And we're going to put it in our hand with the tail sort of beneath our pinky finger there. Now, it does not matter if you are right-handed or left-handed. I am right-handed, so I will show you this, but just, you know, reverse it for left-handedness. The important part is that the tail is laying on the front of your palm and the working yarn is off the top. I'm going to just hold it there, and I like to use 3 fingers, and I'm going to rotate my hand and wrap my yarn around my fingers so that I create an X on the top. And then I'm just going to snug down that working yarn end with my pinky finger. Now I'm going to take my crochet hook and use whatever crochet hook your yarn calls for. I have a 5mm hook and I'm just using a scrap of Anthem yarn, which is a worsted weight yarn, if that makes a difference for you. Anyways, I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to go with the hook part of my hook facing down. I'm going to go underneath that top, the top part of the X, and then I'm going to go over top and grab that string with my hook. This is why it's facing down, so I can just lay it over top of that string and grab it and hook it. And as I pull it through and underneath the top string, I'm going to twist it and bring it up. So now I have this like little loop on my hook, and I am going to take, this is the part that gets a little bit finicky, but I'm going to take my hook now and I am going to go underneath that upper back leg of my X until my hook is underneath it, and then I'm going to take that and pull it through that loop that's on my hook, and there we go. It was kind of tight there. And now I can pull my hand out of my ring. It's not going to go anywhere. It's sort of secure-ish. And I have a chain. So pulling that yarn through the hoop loop that was on my hook created a chain. So now I'm ready to crochet into my ring. But let's take a look at that process again of making the ring. So I've got my hand. This is my non-dominant hand. So I've got my hand open, palm up, and I lay my yarn across it. So my tail is coming off the bottom and my working yarn is at the top. I'm just going to hold it there with my thumb, and I'm going to wrap the yarn around 3 fingers, flip my hand over, create an X with the yarn, and then I'm just going to sort of hold it in place with my pinky finger. And now I take my hook part of my hook is facing down, and I go underneath the top front leg of my X, and I use my hook to grab that string from the top back leg of the X and pull it through. And as I pull it through, I twist. Bring that twist down the shaft of your hook so that you get the proper sizing for your what will eventually be your chain. And then I'm going to take my hook, I'm going to go underneath that top back leg of my X, hook the yarn and pull that through the loop that I created that was on my hook. And then I can pull my hand out and I have this ring, and we're ready to crochet. So let's take a look at why it's called a magic ring. Now you can put any stitches inside this ring. It doesn't matter. You can put stitch combinations. When I was doing the granny squares, it was quite often, say, 3 double crochets, chain 3 double crochets, that kind of a thing. But you can put any stitches in here. So I'm going to do some I'm just going to do some single crochets, just make it simple. So to work into your ring, you are treating the ring plus your tail as if that was the stitches in your chain or in your row. And so I take my hook and I'm going under the ring and the tail, so inside the ring and under. I'm going to yarn over, grab my yarn, pull it up for a loop, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over again, pull through those for a single crochet. And I can go back into my ring, under the ring and the tail, grab my working yarn, pull it back through, yarn over again, pull through those 2 for a single crochet. So you can do this for as many stitches as the pattern calls for. I'm going to do a few and then I'm going to show you how we tighten the ring. So that's 3. So again, take my hook into the ring, making sure I'm going into the ring and have that tail on top of my hook right now. I'm going to grab my working yarn and pull it back through the ring, yarn over again and pull through those 2 loops for my single crochet. And again, you can make any stitch into a magic ring. You can make combinations of stitches. It doesn't matter. Okay, so now that I've got a few stitches on there, let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. To tighten the ring, it's really easy. You're going to grab the tail and you're going to pull. And it's going to tighten right up. Now the trick I use is I tighten it to about here, where there's a little gap still. And then I take a look at my pattern. Are we joining? Are we doing a continuous round? What are we doing? Like, let's see what the pattern's doing. So let's say the pattern says to join with a slip stitch. I am going to take my hook. I'm going to go into that first stitch before I tighten my ring all the way. I'm going to go into that first stitch and I'm going to slip stitch. And now I can tighten my ring all the way. So it's nice and tight. And then I can continue on. So typically we'll do a chain of 1, and typically we're working into that very same stitch at the base of our chain to start the next round. Okay, hopefully that helps. Let's say we need to do some double crochets. This is where reading all the words in your pattern, I know we say this all the time to our beginners, read all the words, but it's one of those things that is true. Reading all the words in your pattern will tell you how to get ready to create whatever stitches the pattern calls for. So let's make another magic ring. Tails in the palm of my hand. I'm just gonna trap it there with 3 fingers, wrap my yarn, create an X. I'm gonna take my hook under the front bar of that X, grab the back bar, pull it back through and twist. Take my hook again, go underneath that back leg of the X and pull that yarn through the loop on my hook. I tightened too much. So let's say the pattern calls for you're starting with a double crochet, a half double crochet, double crochet. Yeah, let's just go from there. So if we're doing a double crochet, quite often they will start with a chain of 3. So when I made my magic ring, I already had 1 chain. So I'm just adding 2 more to get a chain of 3. And now we can do double crochets into our ring. So we're going to yarn over first, and then we're going to go enter our ring, make sure we have our tail on top of our hook, grab our yarn and pull it back through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over again, pull through 2, and we've got a double crochet in our magic ring. So we can keep going. We can make as many of these as we need to for the pattern. And then we're going to tighten it the exact same way. Oops, split my yarn. This is scrap yarn that I have been using over and over and over again. So it has started to become untwisted. So I tend to split it a little bit more than I normally would. Okay, so I've got several double crochets. I'm going to find my tail and I'm going to pull and tighten. And then I can find the top of my chain 3. Again, read your pattern. Your pattern will tell you what you need to do. If you need to go into the chain, or are we doing continuous rounds? What is the pattern telling you? But I can find the top of my chain 3. And then I can just go in there. Don't grab your tail, grab your working yarn and slip stitch. And now our ring is joined. We can take the tail and we can just pull it to tighten, and we've got a nice tight beginning for whatever project we're working on. So thanks guys, I hope this was helpful, and yeah, let me know in the comments. See you again soon. Bye bye.